All right, all right. Welcome back to another episode of the Masterful Conversations podcast, where we learn about leadership from the men who have served or are currently serving as a worshipful master in a regular lodge of free and accepted Masons. I am Brother Matthew Wagstaff, a proud past master of Eureka Lodge number 36 out of Rochester, New York. But currently serving as my worshipful master is Brother Jermaine Myers. And I'm with
I am Brother Mark Alexander, Proud Past Master, Sons of Kings Lodge number 123 out of Brooklyn, New York, where currently serving as my worship master is Brother Kevin Parker.
We both hail from the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the state of New York. We're currently serving as our Grand Master is most worshipful Darren M. Morden. So today we have an esteemed guest with us today. One of our most tenured, I'll say most tenured brothers in the craft. Super excited about the conversation to hear about what 50 years plus in masonry looks like and the stories there. So, but before we get into the introductions of our guests, I do have a couple announcements. First announcement is I want to give a huge shout out to the Lodge Light of Elmwood, number 45 out of Philadelphia,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. They do a raising every year for the past 20
Mm-hmm.
plus years, where they invite lodges from all jurisdictions to come in. It's a
You was down
huge
there?
event. Huh?
You went down there?
Yeah, yeah. I was
Oh,
down there at
nice,
Eureka.
nice. Yeah.
This is my
Nice.
second
Oh,
year,
second
second
time?
year
Okay.
going down there
Yeah,
to
Sons of Kings used
Philadelphia
to
to see
go.
that raising.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have the lodges. There's a lodge in Philadelphia and in Charleston, Kingston, not
Mm-hmm.
Charleston, in North Carolina, Kingston, North Carolina, that does one as well. It's coming up. I want to say the end of April, but I want to give a huge shout out to Light of Elmwood 45 out of Philadelphia. Fantastic job. Those brothers do amazing work. If you want to get your battery recharged in masonry, that's definitely one opportunity to get your battery recharged. I mean, the brother that did the historical lecture, he did it like he wrote it. I thought that brother wrote the historical lecture the way he the
Nice.
way he spit that lecture. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So shout out to everybody, Worshipful Master, and all the brothers out at Light of Elmwood. And with that, they had also congratulations to the four brothers who were raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason. And I was fortunate enough to be able to give them the book, first year in the craft. So please, brothers, if you haven't want to give a gift to brothers who are newly raised in the craft, this book, First Year in the Craft, could be a good resource for them to just give them a little guidance for that first year. But before they join the craft, our first interview was with past master John Hill. He talks about expectations when joining Prince Hall Masonry. This is a fantastic book for any brother to give to a prospective candidate, anyone who's interested in joining the craft. It gives them the real. It's a very short book. It's not a large read at all. But you figure you give them a book before they join the craft, and you give them a book when they get raised. They should certainly have the resources and the tools that they need to get started. Plus, they have their brothers in the lodge, you as their sponsor, and all the other brothers that are around. So those are my announcements. Oh,
Um,
and we celebrated 1 year.
1 year. I'm
One
about to
year.
mention that.
Congratulations.
Exactly.
One
March
year.
6th. Yeah, March
Yes,
6th made
yes.
1 year for us. So congratulations. Thank you to the viewers and everybody else, the guests that supported us through this. And we continue to look forward to more times and more stories so we could continue to learn and grow. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Also, I just wanted to mention for the brothers in the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge in New York that we do have a history project going on that you can call and give you history. So make sure you make that phone call so you get your story down in the book. So, as this show is about history, same way we'll have that in the book for history. And I'll give you a little sneak preview. When you see my picture, you'll see, I was thinking about long term. So
All right. All right.
Keep that in mind, brothers. And we all, as you know, before we start, we have a disclaimer. The views and opinions on this show are our own and do not express the views and opinions of our various lodges or Grand Lodge. If you have any questions, please consult the proper office in your respective jurisdiction.
Absolutely. So with that, I do have the honor and privilege to introduce to some and welcome to others. Our guest this day, we do have past Grand Master E. Thomas Oliver out of Antioch Lodge number 66 out of Harlem, New York. Past Grand Oliver was made a Master Mason, was raised to the Sublime Grand Master Mason in 1972. So he has over 50 years of Prince Hall Masonry running through his veins right now. And so I'm excited to hear his story. He was Worshipful Master in his lodge in 1980. He also served as past president for the First Masonic District Association for 8 consecutive years. This is my first year being the district president. You had 8
I only
years,
did one.
one and done,
One and
right?
done.
8 consecutive years as district president in the first district. He is past patron of Antioch chapter number 44, Order Eastern Stars, Prince Hall affiliated. He also received the 33rd and last degree of the Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite, along with many other memberships in other bodies in the craft. But we are certainly happy to have you, Past Grand
and
Master
and
E. Thomas
remember that
Oliver,
he was
on the
a
show.
elected honorary past Grand Master.
Yes,
I don't know the year, but yeah,
yes,
definitely. Hmm.
2022.
There you
He was
go.
elected honorary past Grand Master in the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the state of New York under Most Worshipful Gregory Robertson Smith Jr. at the time. And so we are certainly happy to have you on. Mark, thank you for always keeping me honest too on the introductions that I promised to have. So past Grand Master E. Thomas Oliver, welcome to the Masterful Conversations podcast.
Good evening and or good day, and thank you guys for inviting me. I am too excited when you have lived as long as I have and seen the many ups and downs and traveled as much as done. It's always good to talk to you, brothers, and I hope tonight will be a good conversation that we can have. Um, I'll be willing to share whatever I know about masonry and anything about me in terms of my background prior to being in masonry, and I want to tell some war stories also because I'm a military vet.
I love that.
Nice.
Yeah, we want the good, the bad, the ugly, all things you can share. This is really about hearing your story and so that other brothers and other people who may not even be in the craft can just learn the history, learn about leadership, learn about your journey. Um, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I have to say this as well. But you've been in masonry longer than I've been alive.
Oh, both of us.
I'm
Both
42
of
years
us.
old.
Yeah, I'll be
And
50
so
this year. So yeah, we got both of us beat.
you've been in this craft longer than I've been living, and so
Hmm.
much respect to you. We have a lot to learn from you. So with that being said, let's just start off the conversation with this first question is tell us about how you joined the craft. We know it was 1972 when you became a master mason, but how did you join the craft, and then what was the state of Antioch Lodge when you joined the craft?
Very good. I You can join masonry back in the days of 21. I was 32 when I joined. Okay, so you can do the math. All right.
Hmm.
So, and I didn't want to be associated at the time as a young man, becoming a Mason because I saw them with a bunch of guys wearing black suits and not doing very much. Um, but my father-in-law is from North Carolina, and he when I we met me and I was bragging about all the what I have achieved, the college degree. You know, I had my chest out, right? You know how we do. And he says, "Well, but are you a Mason?" I says, "No, sir." He said, "Well, you're not a real man yet." Okay. He just put me down. So I came back to New York and told my wife, said, "Yeah, I'm not listening to no man." Said, "Listen, my father, you don't know him. He's very popular in his town." So we married and had a couple of kids, and like 5 years into that, he passed. And so I went there for the funeral, and that's when I saw Mason doing what Masons do. I was so impressed with more than 40 men and reciting the funeral service and all of that. And oftentimes, but we shouldn't take it lightly because the funeral is probably the first time people who are not Masons see us doing anything. So
Hmm.
we should know that, emphasize that, come properly because I wouldn't have been there. I mean, I wouldn't have listened to him. But after seeing them and seeing the great things he was saying about my father-in-law, I couldn't wait to get back to New York to look for a lodge to join, and so that's where Antioch. It so happened again, as we know, that there are Masons from the other side that you couldn't join anyone. We don't know. I didn't know Prince Hall from any hall, to be honest with you, because I didn't know anything. Educated with a degree and all that, but having knowing about masonry was outside of it. I my uncle on my wife's side got me the petition, and I completed it and submitted it, and I was, after a while I was elected and brought in. I met again. I was, well, education wise, I've been busy. I was a military vet, having served in the Air Force for 4 years overseas, and got a lot of skills that I can't talk about on air. But it was good being there, and met some old veterans and like-minded brothers. I was anxious to do it. After joining, I was not going to sit back and not move toward the east. I didn't know even what that's about, but anything I've been in life, whether in college or organization, that I was not satisfied with just being a seat warmer, bench warmer.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know that ambition showed up, I'm sure, back in the day, and got you definitely moving into that space. I see an 8-year window between when you got raised until when you became Worshipful Master. Um, do you remember in 1972 about how large Antioch Lodge was back then, and who was
Yeah.
the Worshipful Master when you got raised? Do you know?
Oh, absolutely. Samuel Clay was worship master of the lodge then. He was transit worker, bus driver, and he was one of my mentors. I can tell you that now. We had over 200 members. I can tell you exactly how many members were in 1980 when I was master, but I didn't know then. But we had over 200 because we had 247 when I was master. And that's a pretty good size now compared to what many lodges have. So and 8 years, we now find brothers are raised to this year and they're master the next year or so. I mean, I don't know about your district, but in the first district, we had some things going on there. That how did the brother? He was just raised the year before last, and now he's a warden or master. I can't say that they're not smart enough, but it's so much you don't know about masonry in 2 years. It's impossible. Even 8 years, I served, all the seats, because you didn't jump over anybody though. You got 40 some 100, 200 some members. People are waiting for you to not do your lecture or get out of line. You get an assignment, you better do it. Otherwise, the past masters will say, okay, he's not ready. All right. So again, I was, excuse me, I felt pretty sharp, and I spent my 5 years going through the chairs, and was 6 years ready to become a warden. But here comes one of the stories that is not well known. I almost got out of masonry because of a disappointment of not getting elected to junior warden the year that I thought I was entitled to be elected to junior warden. All right. If you got time, I can tell you. I did all the work, did everything you could possibly do as senior deacon, and travel and doing my lectures I had to do and all that. But I didn't know at the night of the election that there was a brother who was very popular in the lodge, but had dropped out to pursue his career. It happened in other lodges. He became a high official in the city of New York, one agency where a lot of people knew him. So he stayed financial, and then decided that, well, I want to get back on the line. And so the past master decided to let him come back on the line. Because to tell you, he was a good brother. I won't even call his name, but you can do the research and find out who was the past master before me, and you figure it out. So he came back. Oh, I even told you the end of the story. He ran, and more than 200, more than half of the brothers seemed like it was from that agency. If some lodges, we either post office people or transit
policemen, something like that. Yeah.
So these people were from transit, and he was a chief of transit, and well, he was a disciplinarian chief. So if they knew him, So he wanted nothing wrong with good brother, but I was the young brother. Keep in mind, I was thought that I was going to get this. I was so disappointed. But I said, no, I don't want this. Incidentally, I only lost by 5 votes,
Oh
incidentally.
wow. Okay.
5 votes. It was close because I was pretty popular. I was doing my stuff, but you will have 70, 80 brothers in every meeting. That night we had over 100. They came in, they came in, they all dues paying, doting brother. And I'm saying this for any brother out there who could happen again. It happened to me 50 years ago and or close to. And I'm glad I didn't step out because I was so disappointed. But the Grand Master at that time, he knew me because I can tell you why. I was appointed a worthy brother early in my career. Right after I joined, they found out I was an accountant, so they put me working with the Grand Lodge as on the finance committee or did auditing. So he heard about it and he told me, he says, no, you got something where you don't. He's wiser than me. He says, that's not the end of your life or your Masonic life. And then the worship master elect, he too wanted me to stay, and she said, would you serve as senior deacon again? I mean, I did that already. I can do that, but I went back. I was glad I took the appointment. Was I was once sworn in, but took the authority to go back in as senior deacon. But it's all worked out. I was a better senior deacon the second time around. I didn't know I had got a chance. I'm more comfortable with that. I was able to do more visitation. And then in the next year, I was unanimously elected as junior warden, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lessons in that story right there. Go ahead, Mark.
Now I was gonna say to you, Matt, imagine being worse when we'd had 70 people at every meeting.
Oh yeah.
Man, oh man, give me 30. Give me 30. Give me 20 at every meeting. Give me 20. How about that?
No, we had 70 sometimes.
70 at every meeting. Oh man.
Easy without any question. And the thing is, I don't know. I'll tell you about this too. We had one past master who always liked to come in for a new master and show him that he doesn't know what to do, like motion or whatever. But I had studied Robert Rule's order a long time ago, and our craft is not ruled by Robert Rule, but it's a guide to use. So it's how to carry emotion and so forth. So he came in just waiting for me not to be just not know how to do it. But I was ready for him. I was ready for him. So he just finally got up and left.
What?
He did. But he did.
He only came to mess with you. That was
exactly. He's
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So I a little story, but I'm thinking back now because he was notorious, man. Because you're nervous when you first sit in the seats, right? And then for somebody said, "Where's the master? You didn't do that right." I was like, yeah. And he would stand up and show you how to stand up and do the thing proper. But you know why? And you were back in those days. We used to be afraid of past master. We were because but he but the rest of them they surrounded me, and I came in with a plan. I had a plan. I can tell you about that at a time when after any other question, but I really
yeah. You mentioned your uncle gave you the petition after you requested it. Can you share his name just for history purposes? I wanted to capture that as well. And then also, what was the first seat you sat in when you were raised as a Master Mason?
Okay. My first seat was recorder. And that was a good advice because one of my mentor, Flav K. Green, told me to. He had the elected master asked me, could I record, and I had writing skills, right? So I became a recorder, and when you're in the recorder's desk, you learn, but all the paperwork past your desk because the secretary gives it to you to read and so forth. So and you get a chance to use your voice People got to know your name. So if you want to be seen, heard, get a speaking part in your life. Don't sit in the back, do whatever, so that people, brother, can see you, can hear you.
Right.
The Uncle Dan, and believe it or not, I can't think of his last name right now. I'm just having one of those
Okay.
plays, but it is Uncle Dan Hardy is his name, Uncle Dan Hardy,
Okay.
or the Hardy.
Okay.
And he was not a past master. He was just a brother in the lodge, and he well read and everything. But he was the one who got me in, and I love him for that. I would not have been in that lodge if it wasn't Brother Dan Hardy.
Appreciate it. Thank you. When you let's transition now. You've gone through the chairs. You've been a recorder, and you move in through all the different chairs: senior deacon, junior warden. Um, did you serve as senior warden at all?
Yes, I did. I said, oh, the warden. Yeah, I did.
So
I did.
each warden.
Right.
When you were going through the chairs, so it's like two questions. When you were going through the chairs, specifically junior warden and senior warden, um, how were you thinking about leadership in preparation for the Worshipful Master chair? And then the second question is, when you became Worshipful Master, what did you focus on?
Okay. Very good. We I'll tell you, when I was a junior warden, we formed a junior warden council.
Hmm.
One of there, I remember I was in the military, and a lot of my skills were about strategy and so forth. So I a junior warden council for the first district, and then so we followed each other in the same. They followed in the senior warden council. It was we shared experiences among ourselves. Masters, some of the worship masters didn't is new. It was new in the district, so they were saying, "What are the wardens doing?" Well, I had to explain to them that it wasn't conspiring. We were just getting ready to take over. Really, when our time came, and it may still exist, I believe, but I know I was instrumental in starting it with other lodges. Well, we were very close to Boer Lodge and Jumbo Lodge. We were the three top lodge number. Antioch was the third largest in First District at that time. They had more than 240 some odd. So so with them, we formed this warden council, and then um, I want to talk about my first district experience too. But I can tell you, after when I was elected master, I had a trestle board with things to do, a lot of things I wanted to do, and I realized that uh, the two some brothers were not seen. All of them couldn't come to the line. Some of them were my age and so forth, and they couldn't get out. So we decided, part of my plan is to visit East Borough and have a daytime meeting with them. On Saturdays. We would go in Brooklyn, just Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan. And the two wardens and I would take turns and doing every month, holding a meeting at someone's house or a day place. And 20 more brothers would show up.
Wow.
Because the seniors or whatever, they could get there, and we'll sometimes have a light meal, but more importantly, some of them hadn't seen a warden or master again. If you're in the lodge for a long time, brothers live, they couldn't travel all the way to Manhattan to the lodge. So we went to them and let them know who we were, what we were about to do, and came back and gave a report in the lodge meeting that we visited 20 brothers in Brooklyn, and with our Queens, wherever it is. Every month we did it, every rotation. The only time we didn't do that was July and August. That's one thing I instituted. The two and some of my brothers didn't know each other by name and address, telephone number, because we didn't have social media during those days. So the senior warden worked at the post office. Name is Frederick. He was a fantastic researcher. His job was with the secretary to get the name and telephone number and address of all the members, make certain they're there, and we put a directory together with one of the brothers who soon became a past master, printed it for the first time, and knowing that we have a roster, a booklet. I still got an old copy now someplace of every member and 1980 that was a member of the lodge with their name and where they lived and so forth. And then we mail them or gave them to those in the lodge meeting so they could call each other. And we emphasized that you need to call at least 10 brothers every month. And I mean, I was like, I could have been Master of the Year for that because they loved it, right? They'd heard about Brother Roscoe or something like that, but they didn't know his number, and they like no, we're so used to Google and whatever now, but we didn't have that. We didn't have that, or they didn't even know the master name. Master's changed. If you've been on a lodge for years, you don't know who the master is. And incidentally, my worshipful master is Evan Martin right now, Jamal Martin. He's Jamal Martin. He's very. I should have given him homage in the first time around. He's serving like you guys more than once. Right now, this is the second time around as worshipful master. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't have served 2 years in a row. No, I remember my senior warden would have done something to me if I had tried to go back again. He was ready because he had all this time. We learned the craft. It's not like they needed to stay another year to learn. So when my year was up, Benjamin Frederick was ready to come into the lodge as worshipful master, and I can tell you that we had agreed that we three would follow each other's agenda. He helped put my agenda together, and then when he came in, and so for 3 years, there were consecutive, no failing in terms of things that we did. But I also want to tell you, besides the communication that we did, some of the stuff is you do it all the time now. But back in those days, the lodge only had 2 major meals. I mean, election and St. John's Day. One of them, they couldn't afford to have collation every meal, every meeting. I got approval from my mentor, District Deputy Grand Master Flav Green, to have a mini collation in the anteroom every meeting. I would get, some sandwiches, something that you could afford, and that made the attendance went up. The brothers appreciated it. Many brothers are doing that, but if you give to offer them a light, something to quench their thirst or hunger, they came out. But they didn't do that before that, and but this was done on the district. I skipped it in terms of my because right after I got out of the chair, I was elected a president of the First Messiah district, and I can give you a whole story about that. But
yeah.
The collations you did, that was before or after the meetings?
After.
After, okay.
Yeah.
Just wasn't sure. I know a lot of times they try to do it now.
The junior warden would be responsible for bringing it. And actually, he had to bring it out of his pocket then too. I forgot. That's not what we do now. But if you were a junior warden, you had to provide the collation. But it was manageable.
Yeah.
Because if it was someone who needed some help, the other warden and myself, the master, but it wasn't a charge to the lodge. In other words, it didn't come out of the lodge. Coffee, we didn't vote it out. We voted out, like I say, the raising, and one other one that escapes me now, but not the small collation. And it can be pizza. I mean, but guys like pizza or whatever now, and we sort of do that today because we found it to be a winner. The lodge knew to pick up costs for it nowadays, but the junior warden is still the one that do that. And one of the things that as master, I think that, well, I did. Now, let me just see what I did, and then whatever. Visiting other lodges, visit your local lodges, and then have the audacity to go to other districts. I went to 4 districts when I was master, and we took a trip to. It was established before me, Baltimore. We had a relationship every year. Every year we would load the bus and go down and pack the bus out, and master, you were treated real, well, to be with something feeling good about, because people paid homage to you and all the good things. We all past masters, it is, but you have to earn it, right? For as well, let me put it this way: in the military, I was a leader. In my job, I was a leader. I'm a leader, like manager type person. I could tell you go do something, and you did it because I had the authority to ask you to do it. Don't really have that much authority in our fraternity. We know where we're called, but you have to persuade brother to do what you want them to do. You have to be able to inspire them, not just do it because I say you should do it. They'll find ways of saying, "Oh yeah, and that's all you're gonna get." They're gonna give you the aggressive. I got you, and it never get done.
You trigger me. You get me triggered right now with that. People saying one thing and doing something else. You triggering me right now. I had a little itch right now. I'm trying to work off right now. So, what branch of the military were you in, Past Grand?
I say the Air Force.
All right, fantastic. Hey, I gotta go off script a little bit here and just ask a historical question. And to the extent you can remember, again, you were going through your journey of getting to the East before I was even thought of.
Right.
And so all I can see is stories and read books and hear documentaries about how life was for Black men in the 70s. Can you just paint us a picture at all about how life was as a Black Mason in the 70s in the United States?
70s. I joined in 72. They still have Jim Crow in the South, so to speak, if you may know that. And matter of fact, Tennessee didn't recognize, even when I was working there in 2000, they didn't recognize Black Mason. And I think that, and it's amazing how that exists. But one is segregation and discrimination as a man was just not really good back in the 70s. You would think that it didn't exist here in New York State, but it did exist. I mean, my employer, I was usually the only one or two, and that's wasn't good. I mean, well, I don't mind saying it. I worked for the Board of Higher Education when I was master. I was an auditor for CUNY. I was the only Black man in that office of auditors, and there's no reason for that. None. There were other people qualified to hold those positions. I worked for a Jewish bank. I'll tell you, Israel Discount Bank. They hired me right out of the military because I had some skills that they needed, and I was there for 9 years. I rose to the rank to become a supervisor of the accounting department. Jewish Black guy, supervisor of a Jewish accounting department in the 70s. But that's as far as I could go. I was not going to go any further. I knew that after 9 years, and I was ready. I had my degree, and I need to be, like VP or something, whatever title of supervisor. And the president said that, well, the budget, we don't have the budget this year. I was working in the accounting department. I know where the money is. I know exactly what the budget. You can't tell me that you don't have money. So I said, okay. He was very polite, but
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, I got to get out of here. The going to work for the city was not seen as a progressive thing to do when you work for private industry. The guys were making six figures back in those days, and
Mm.
yeah, they were. They stock market stuff. They didn't make good money. So I went for the book to I became an auditor for the City University of New York. Um, Not a whole lot of money, but I had great benefits. Okay,
Hmm.
great
Mm-hmm.
benefits. I knew I did the calculation. The health insurance for life
Mm-hmm.
and the TI investment fund and so forth. Best decision I made in life. Now I probably could have made more money faster in the private sector because the skills and I have they pay well. But I did 30 years in the City University of New York
Yeah.
before I retired in 2002 and went to work for college and university, HBCUs. What I enjoyed, if I had time, I'll tell you about, well, being a Renaissance, I didn't attend a HBCU. I couldn't afford it, so I went into the military and went to college here in the city and elsewhere. But I was blessed, I call it that, because I was able to work at two HBCUs before I retired. One is Fort Valley State University in Georgia, a historical Black
Mm.
college. Been there over, I forgot how many years, but a lot, over 100 years. And it was a land grant institution with 1,300 acres of land. That's a huge campus that they taught um, people how to raise food, and it's a federal funding. I don't want to get into it now, but that fund probably going to be cut because it was funded by the government. A
Mm.
lot of grants to teach for farmers how to raise
Mm-hmm.
animals and so forth. So I spent more than 4 years there and retired. And then I went to Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, as their senior vice president for finance. I enjoyed being around HBCU students. And if you know anything about that, many of the CFOs are not African American. I was the first one. Uh, well, when I got there, I replaced someone that did look like me before. And a student loved it. They'd come over and just want to chat, right? And sometimes I'll be busy, but I took the time and talked to them and their parents when they come there for homecoming. They were glad that they could see someone that their student, that children could relate to, right? So I the best thing my all the more than 30 years, the 8 years I spent working at the HBCU was most rewarding. I had to say that. It was just wonderful.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I'm also curious about the brothers in your lodge in the 70s. The struggles that they may have been underneath as well, or the prosperity. Maybe it was a great time. I don't know what it was like socioeconomically in New York City in the 70s. We hear about the 80s and the crack epidemic and all these things. I don't think we have any brother on the show since we started that served in the 80s or definitely not in the 70s. So I'm just curious, just from a historical standpoint, like the state of masonry, like the type of men you were getting in the state of masonry in the 70s.
Well, in the Antioch, they were most of my uh, close friends worked for the city in some form or fashion, either
Mm,
with the transit, the police department, postal office. Um, yeah, some teachers, but so economically we were doing okay because we
mhm,
had a city job. And many of them own their home too.
mm,
That was so yeah. I hear you. In terms of the struggle was there. The struggle was there. All the 200 brothers, some of them were struggling. I can tell you, one for lack of opportunity. Um, those of us who went into the military got a leg up. for whatever reason, at least I did. I'm just talking for myself, that is afforded me the opportunity to learn while I was there. And also when I got out, I used the GI Bill to finish my education.
Got you.
So that was during the 70s. I got, you know, I got out of the military at 64, and so I know in terms of brothers struggling. That's a good one. I can't.
Well, not struggling. They don't have to have struggle. I just was curious about just the state of the brotherhood back then, just because I just, I wasn't there. Neither one of us were there to experience it. So just, just to share what it was like. If it was great, fantastic. If it was some struggle, that's cool. I mean,
Oh
just to
yeah, no,
share.
we didn't experience it. Well, again, I'm talking about New York.
Yeah.
Sometimes I gotta tell people, um, in my family, we didn't know we were poor. When we were born, we were poor. We didn't know we were poor. We didn't know. I mean, we didn't have color TV and none of that stuff, right? And so you're comfortable with that. And that's the only reason why I'm having difficulty trying to give you example of some things that we suffered here in the city. When you travel south, you things are right in your face. But I gave you an example. Why wasn't the 70s? Why there weren't more people working at the Board of Higher Education that looked like me? It didn't. You know, it was. As a matter of fact, I almost got fired where I worked because I spoke up and said that we need to hire some more people that look like me, and the guy accused me of being racist.
Wow.
And I needed to. I had married 2 kids. Guess what? I've been quiet. I got quiet from then on. After that,
Right.
it's
Right.
survival.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I appreciate
100%.
that. Thank you for taking us down that path here and allowing us to go a little bit off script a little bit on that. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. I know you mentioned, putting together that your phone director, your roster for the first time. Now I remember even going back to my old jurisdiction, my old lodge, and seeing their first rosters like in the 60s, and they had phone numbers that wasn't like before the area codes and everything like that on them, things like that. Um Rest in peace to Epsilon 124, because I just heard they handed in their charter recently.
Mm.
So some good brothers there. They had 6 brothers left when they joined another lodge, but I got a good experience out of them during that time. They made it to 60 years.
Oh,
So I mean, my lodge is only 20, so I hope we can make it to 60 and further than that.
no,
You know. So Past Grand, you definitely have had leadership in, like you mentioned, in different ways, whether it was the military and employment and in masonry. So what do you see as effective leadership?
Effective leadership. One is that you must realize that in order to be effective, you need other people to help you do that. And you one, you must have integrity. Yeah, okay, so people can believe in you. If they don't believe in you, they won't work for you. They won't do things for you. So, for instance, when I laid out my trust board in my lodge, I told them the benefit of it. If we haven't, if we do these programs, we'll get more brothers in the lodge. We will become more bonded, better ourselves. So, so you have to also learn who you're leading. You got to be so you can develop an empathy for them. All right, we all are not yoked the same. Some of them may have traveled a different road or have different problems. So you need to visit and communicate with. So I think you must be an effective communicator. And when I mean communicate, being able to speak their language. All right. If folks might speak a certain language, people your age, they got a lingo and so forth, you got to learn to speak and then being able to hear, be quiet for a moment and let them talk back to you. No lodge or any kind of meeting is boring if you only hear one voice the whole night. You got to have a program where the brothers can interact with each other.
Mm.
And then they feel that they participate in that. They don't want to come and hear a sermon. I'm a church person, so I can say this.
Mm.
You need people to be able to interact with each other in the lodge and find as many opportunities as you can to have social gathering. Whether or not it's the picnics, the games, anything you can do socially with your brother and or you members of the craft or even work. Because most of the things that I did effective in our lodge became from the skills that I learned from leadership training in business. As an accountant, if you sit behind your desk all day and do numbers, just forget about it. You won't get things done. You have to being able to communicate with your fellow workers, and we're talking about leadership. If you don't get buy-in, you're not going to go anywhere. You got to get people to buy in whatever your plan and make it plain too. If you have a plan or an idea, communicate it. Let them know our fans, we're going to do this together, and then give them things to do and let them do it. Also, don't be a helicopter kind of person over them. You want to make certain your pet project move here, but don't let people think that you don't trust them to do it. Sometimes this is a lesson I learned from my mentor. You got to let people sometimes fail so they can see for themselves that they did it wrong. If you stop them from failing, they're bound to make the same mistake again. It's bothering you when you're responsible for a department or something, and the person ahead of it reports to you, and you see him or her going down the path the wrong way. You counsel them, but eventually you got to let them do it. Let them do it that way. They may surprise you and come up with a better product than you thought. But I made some mistakes too when I was a young leader. I thought that I had to tell everybody what to do and how to do it. That's not the way to be a good leader. You got to let people with like mind put that spin on it. What you want is result. If whatever the result is, if they can achieve it in a manner that is not going to cause chaos, let them do it. In the law, sometimes we have, for instance, an annual widows and orphan outing, and we always did 1, 2, 3. But a new brother says, "Can I do something else?" Let them do it their way, so long as at the end of the day, the widows and orphans feel that they had a good day.
Yeah, 100%. I like that. Definitely. Getting everybody involved, things like that is very important when you're trying to lead an organization, because then they're also going to help you lead to have future leaders by getting other people involved in the situation. So definitely thank you for that. Making things plain is very important too. Thanks.
I got a question on the real quick on that too. You talk about letting brothers fail in order for them to learn and help them in their development. How do you handle accountability right now? So if you have someone that is assigned to a role, you've been clear as a leader in terms of what you expect from them, they don't deliver or they aren't delivering, or you see them going down a path. How do you hold brothers accountable? Like, what's your style on how you hold brothers accountable?
Is to have a one-on-one, not
One on one? Okay.
one-on-one, yeah. And whenever we can do that versus a corporate kind of thing, because you want to chastise them really, tell them, hey, listen, you're doing wrong. Tell them one-on-one, so he can receive it or whatever. But usually they get out of shape when someone else is listening. So keep it in mind. Always try to range. Sometimes you may have to stop something there, but if you can correct action or bring them, but always do that when somebody is your responsibility. Sometimes people do something because he's your friend or something like that. You don't want to, but as a leader, you must bring that to attention because that's your job. To saying that we both did agreed that this is going to be done. You didn't do it. Why? Give them opportunity to say why, and think about it. Be open-minded, But if it is reasonable, then you accept it. If it's not, then you'd be hard. We're men. You know, sometimes men, you have to man up and say, man, this is not good. I wouldn't. I'm not going to give you. You know, if they respect you, he'll feel bad about it and do better. But if he didn't respect you, nothing is law. But I see. I have been in places where the leader just lets people get away with stuff. And I think that's wrong. I don't believe in that. I mean, I don't believe in making people feel bad in public. But they if they don't, they're not accountable. Well, first of all, let me say this: you must be accountable yourself. If you're kind of a person who say and if people expect things and you fail, then you can't really bring people in check yourself. So if they know that what you're telling that you lead by an example, and we all accountable for our wives, our children, our employer, right? So we don't do right, you get fired. If you don't do about your wife, you don't tell her what's going to happen to you. So we know about accountability. So same thing with a lodge. If you have a brother responsibility for doing a particular task, and the lodge is dependent upon that task being done successful, if he doesn't do it, then you have to chastise him, and so that he'll know. Because sometimes, or let's say that he turned in something other that is half baked. I started saying another word, but it's half baked, and you got to let him know. No, man, this is not the standard that Antioch Lodge or your lodge or anybody expect. You need to have done better or go back and do it again. At least that's the way I do it, and I've been doing it, and I still work incidentally. You guys know that, right? Or you don't know that?
Still working where?
I still work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still work. So I still oversee a large department, and people know they most of them when you give assignment, and incidentally it's a volunteer assignment too. That's the worst. That's the toughest people to supervise, people that you don't pay. You don't pay them. Well, what do you have? Okay, you guys were district presidents, right? Right?
Yeah.
You're sitting there with a gavel. They don't have to listen. They don't have to do anything, but you have to persuade them to do things. We did a lot. Well, I don't want to digress too much about my 8 years as president, but we were able to do a lot as president. And who's president now? Just like one of you.
I'm district president for the 7th district.
Okay, so little hint: you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
You got to collaborate with several other districts. Well, I was able to get a lot of people elected to Grand Lodge position when I was district president, including the everybody know of him at least, Solomon Wallace.
Oh, okay. Is he getting online under you? Nice.
Yeah, right. I was able to get him elected on the line.
Nice.
Now, to the story there, he ran against a brother from the 3rd district my first year I was president, and he lost.
Okay.
Solomon Wallace lost. Is to become Grand Master. And he told me, and he was a Grand Master longer than the other.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. Yeah.
And he took a year off. And he told, and we were incidentally, he lived in my neighborhood, so we was riding back and forth. When he asked,
and we go to the same church, right?
Yes. And so he was a great mentor of mine. So during his, I helped him get. He lost the election. I feel bad because I was president of the district. The 3rd district outmaneuvered me and us. All right, they take responsibility, and they got other districts to rally around that candidate, and they got him elected. I learned from that. I never after that year he was happy because he said that he got a chance to build his trusted board. So when he got elected next time, he was ready to go in with both feet on the ground and get running. I visit and became close buddies with four district presidents. That's a secret. There's nothing secret about it. Everybody should know that now. Regardless of your numbers, you need a buy-in from other districts. And if you are one of the problem we had in our first district, we probably still, the guys who are president now probably don't want me to tell you that we are big and we think that we can do it by ourselves. We can't, or even shouldn't, because the smaller district need an opportunity to get people online too. When I was elected, we had a Grand Master from Buffalo, Garrett. You know his name is last name is Garrett. Can't think of his first name now, but he got a president from Buffalo. Not president, I said Grand Master. Yeah.
Okay.
1978.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. I know you guys invest. You'll find out. So,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you, the reason why I got it because we had promised that the district that they'll get a chance to put that candidate ahead if you vote for the person that not. And when that came up, we put our strength against him. You get elected. Mark, do you find his name yet?
Yeah, as I said, Charles McGarrett, something like that. Paramount 73.
There you go.
Yep.
Charles McGarrett. He was Grand Master
In 1975.
1975. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Gotta get my history. Gotta go back and get my history on.
For
sure.
Here. I couldn't.
Shout out to our Grand Senior Warden, Kevin Wardalley, who just shared the list of Grand Masters with me. So I forwarded it to you.
I got it. I already got it. I already have
it. Yeah, exactly.
You are the resident historian. You know, I'm about the current action. You very good about the history, keeping us, you know, you the past, and we both the present, and I'm the future.
Exactly.
He was the one that took me to breakfast and told me, "Don't be discouraged about what happened with me."
Mm-hmm.
And I visited Buffalo a couple of times, and side story. One of the times we went to Canada, and they didn't want to let us back in.
But
that was really, we were all dressed in black suits and everything. And they got out the van and took us like 20 minutes. It was not a good look. But we know. The brother was upset, and I told him I had to calm him down. I was a senior person in the group. I said, we'd be in jail. You know, they got power there. So I said no. So they finally made phone calls and let us back in. But I enjoyed this. And just a side story.
Yeah. You've already mentioned the many men that served as your mentor.
Solomon Wallace.
Anybody you want to call out? Any other names you want to call out, just so for historical purposes?
Yeah, Past Master Flay Craig Green was a district deputy grand master and person who knew the ritual front and back. And I used to ride with him to and from the lodge and spend many times at his house just studying. Anytime I had an idea when I was master, I would run it by him first. I want to do this because I did a lot of new things when I was there. And some of the brothers sometimes don't like change, but you can't force it on them. You got to get buy-in, right? So if you find a brother who other brothers respect, and they all respected him, so then if he gives a nod, and then I knew when I raised it in the lodge, it happened. I don't know. I'd be surprised sometimes when I see masters run into problems and they hadn't done the homework beforehand. You got to prepare
for the meeting.
For the meeting, you know.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah, just like you said, like you knew about that brother in your lodge that was gonna come with trying to give you a hard time, so you was ready for him. You know
Absolutely. And
you sitting there these years, you should know your brothers already, again, as you mentioned, and be ready for them. 1000%.
so
Just a couple of things like to add on to just add to mention. Yeah, it happened that that brother Charles was the last brother from upstate in 1975 to be elected Grand Master. So it's been 50 years since the last time anybody outside of the first 4 districts been elected Grand Master. So Matt, you got work to do. Um,
I'm
Yeah.
now I ain't saying you
We'll work
particularly
on
unless you want to
it.
do that. I'm
Seven
talking
seven
about
district. Come on now.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
call. What 7 district? We got some names out there. Come on now.
Also,
yeah.
I just want to also stress a point in which past Grand mentioned about Solomon Wallace. Solomon Wallace was our longest standing Grand Master in the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge in New York, I believe, for 12 years. He also served as the Sovereign Grand Commander of the Northern Jurisdiction for the Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite, of Prince Hall. So great man, great Mason, but he lost to be Junior Warden. So you can't take those losses too hard. Again, to stress that same lesson that he taught. You can come back at it, go back at it, learn from it, and keep it moving. That's what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah. They both lost. Him,
Yeah, that's
Past
what I'm
Grand
saying.
Oliver,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah,
Past
exactly.
Grand Wallace. So that's the lesson right there.
Yeah.
Brothers get it
I,
all in
I, I
their
had that same
feelings.
loss running for Junior Warden too, so I think I'm in good company.
Okay,
There you
okay.
go.
Good.
Yeah,
um,
I've seen brothers lose their mind, losing the not getting appointed to be senior deacon. And so,
Yeah.
it's just been amazing seeing how brothers react to those sort of, difficulties, if you will. So,
So
mhm.
let them know that others who went on to be whatever um, lost out on something and didn't let them stop them. And don't be discouraged on that. You can't be discouraged sometimes when you get turned down. If you're in a kind of sale or something, the people say no, they don't want to buy your product. You're gonna starve if you don't go back and ask them again and again
Mhm.
and again. Let me mention not necessarily a mentor because but he's certainly my senior in terms of the Masonic family. That is the most worshipful Gregory Roberson Smith. Okay, let me
Mhm.
tell you about him. We were masters together, 80 masters. All right, and we bonded then, and he's a very well. I'm talking about senior now. I'm not you
Yep.
guys know about junior, but
Mhm.
senior. I was I helped him get on the line, right? Because I was very active, whatever. And then when he was elected to be the Grand Master, he appointed me as the first chief of staff in the New York State jurisdiction. That we had never had one before then that we are aware of. So there was a new position and one that was like Christian. What is this guy going to do? What is his authority, a lot of
Mhm.
responsibility? And it was a position that Greg and I understood. I came up from the academic world, so we know what chief of staff do. Basically, they run a ref for the president or the worshipful master. Like everybody wants to see him or whatever. But if you have somebody that can answer the question or get it done, that's what I did for the 3 years, and I'm very proud of the work we were able to do. He and well, I could talk more and more about his administration, but he did something similar to what I had done when I was a master of the lodge. He had five five fireside chat, Ray called
Okay.
it,
Mhm.
and he would do that in every district. And I get a chance to travel with him and Entourage to Buffalo and everywhere. We had them, and the brother would come and you had the Grand Master and his wardens or whatever, or the deputy Grand Master. We would have these meetings throughout its administration. It was there. I had the task of coordinating the activity of all the district deputy grand masters, and I wrote a handbook that was used for years afterward. I don't know if they still use it or not. They probably figured that they don't need it, but I put pen to paper and guidelines as to what to do when you enter the lodge and how to have develop a rapport with the Worshipful Master, which is sometimes difficult to do. So did that, and I could mention more things, but the thing that I enjoyed most was being able to travel with him and visit the activities of the concordant bodies and lodges. You know, there's everybody want the Grand Master at their dinner dance or so forth, but sometimes he couldn't go, and yeah, I was able to go, and I got to meet a lot of people and had some fun too, and that's how I got a lot of people know me, because I did a lot of traveling. He traveled a lot himself. The whole cabinet did, and we so when you have a person something, you have to tread softly so that you won't step on the toes of the elected line officers, right? You're just an assistant basic to the Grand Master, but you're in every meeting, you're everywhere, and you whenever there's something that the they don't want to do, you took care of it. And I was up there twice a week for 3 years. You know, even and sometimes I would just feel the Christian. Most of the time, since I was the past master and all the other things, then the master called up and want to know how what to do about something. I usually can do that. Some of the masters I would refer to the Grand Master and get clarity, or the Grand Lecturer, which is so it was good. I don't know if we have a chief of staff now, but they did have one or two after me. But it's not a position that you have in well, they have it in Washington State. I know.
Is Lisa Horton, is she the chief of staff? I feel like
she's not the chief of staff.
Yeah,
No, she's
okay.
just like the secretary.
Yeah,
I know
right.
Adam Jones was for Dorian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I ain't really sure of it anybody else, but I know that's
Okay.
one. I definitely knew that was one as far as that.
Wayne, oh Lord, I can't think of his name. Walker.
Oh,
Dwayne Walker,
Dwayne
right?
Walker. Yeah.
Yeah, was the last one.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Cool. Yeah, they yeah, the stories are never ending, and we definitely thank you for them. What is your some of your proudest moments you had as masters, a mason in general?
I had many, really. I would say that when I was crowned 33rd in 2000 in Colorado, um, I really went all out. It was a big thing to be, to get the highest degree and become a Grand Inspector General. I invited my whole family out and busted my budget and all the kind of thing. I didn't care, man. It was fun for me, and it was good. Very proud of that. I think that so in 2002, um, when I was sitting there taking a nap as I used to do with nothing going on there, when I heard my name called as being nominated for the honorary degree, I said, "Wow, this is good." I mean, one was asked, well, what does it mean to be a honorary past Grand Master? It's been a lot. It's been a lot. It's recognition, one of like a long time work, but more importantly, you were able to speak to brothers. I mean, I probably wouldn't be on this call tonight if it wasn't for the title. So I am.
Oh no, I don't know about
I don't know
that.
about that, but
I don't know
okay.
about that.
Yes, exactly. But I definitely understand that. Well, speaking, I mean,
Understand.
down that vein, right? And this might be like, I don't know, the personal question, but so you did have all this knowledge, and you were around, the grands and all that. You never had aspirations of wanting to run for Grand Master yourself?
Good person. I was one of the. I chose. I will be silly if I even say that I thought I could do it, right? But I decided that the career path I had didn't allow me the time to do
Okay.
that. Okay. I was first I totally off in many for doing the job I was doing. So I couldn't afford to make a mistake in handling people money. You got to put the time in. So the career versus spending the time up there, and I wouldn't couldn't do it. But I took the other path. When I assisted as to get others elected, and it's okay. Well, again, I think you guys know that of the 52 years I was in the Grand Lodge, 50 of them. Because the minute I became a Master Mason, that first mid-year session with Vincent E. Best was Grand Master. They were looking for people with financial background to do the audit, and so in order to become that, he had to appoint me.
We're the brother.
We're the brother, and I was just a Master Mason. So I started working and got to know people. And then I chaired the budget committee for more than 10 years. I was chairing the budget committee for 10 years. So I know all the interim part of it. The time came to be treasurer once. I'm okay. That right was fine with me. I have friends all over the United States. I think that I stand well. I know that I'm not a sitting or one who's sitting as an elected Grand Master, but be styled a honorary past Grand Master is an honor for me, and I don't take it lightly. I take it quite seriously, and I'm honored to have been elected.
I know. Well, I just was rewatching a little bit of Lisa Horton's video the other day, and she had mentioned about her and her father had not even thinking about joining OES at all, and then wind up becoming grand and honorary grand and stuff like that. It's the same thing as you when you first said you wasn't thinking about nothing about Freemasonry, and then you went all the way to the point of being honorary grand master. So sometimes they do say the saying is the people that don't want it the most, that's the people that wind up getting it because they not doing it for their own selfish needs. They're doing it most of the time for the best of the organization or the best of the or everybody else and not for themselves. So I want to thank you for the dedication you have given to the craft all these years and everything you have shared with us. Thank you, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is our probably I know we're coming on our time here and we want to be respectful of your time. The last question we have to ask, and with your perspective, I think you can really provide some really good insight onto this question. So we know you said you're good, and you are a-okay where you are right now. However, just go on a journey with us, knowing what you know about masonry, knowing what you know about yourself, and knowing what you know about Antioch Lodge number 66. If you were to go back into the East as Worshipful Master in the year 2026, what would be one thing that you will focus on as Worshipful Master?
All right. I would. I think we lack the unity we had back in the days. The brothers are not together. Our brothers are not together like they were back when I was master. We don't visit each other as we did. We were in each other's houses, in and out of each other's houses, often back in my day. I mean, we visited them not only because they're sick or shut in. We were just, hey, let's go
hanging out.
Okay, that's what you guys call it. We did. We went out and we hung out at each other's house. That our wives knew each other. They don't know each other now. I knew other people, brothers' wives, and kids and all that. Have can't speak. I'm only speaking for Antioch, but I would. That's the first thing I would do is be on top of my agenda. Is that brother? We're going to find time to bond together outside of the lodge room. Okay, because the lodge room is the lodge room, and we know how well, that can be like. So you got to be find ways to interact with the brother and their family because oftentimes today we don't know the spouse, we don't know the children, they don't know us, and that's not good. My wife knew all of my buddies. they all knew her, and they know they could call each other, whatever. The wives were close. Now, they sometimes you may not want that, but that's the thing that we should. I said it as a joke.
Yeah, no.
But no, we need to be closer, and that was the first thing I do. And second thing is is trying to find ways to get younger brothers more into the mainstream. I don't understand why that's. You mentioned 20, we make that 40, but that's not what I was used to. I'm used to having 100 people or so in a line, and so we need to grow it, because if we don't, you're gonna be my age and nobody following it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Well, Past
Appreciate it.
Graham,
Thank you.
yeah, definitely thank you for everything you have shared with us this evening. You have gave us some good things to think about and to take home and to dwell about. Things such as one thing I definitely like when you talked about brothers that get a speaking partner in the lodge, was referring to the secretary spot, but any part, because one thing I don't even know if you really noticed, you said this, practicing basically throwing your voice. So because I know like a lot of times brothers don't project their voice too well. So if you get a speaking part early, by the time you master, then everybody be able to hear you as they should, so you can communicate clearly. So that's something to get through early, definitely. You have to inspire brothers to get to work in Freemasonry, because we ain't getting paid to do this. So you got to get some inspiration behind them, get that fire in them, to do that. You need other people. You can't do it by yourself. You must have integrity. And that's goes without saying. Every Mason in the world should know that. So that should be a thing that should be automatic, right? Um, learn who you're leading. You got to know your brothers, to have that open communication with them back and forth, making sure you understand each other, so that you can get this goals accomplished. Have a program that get everybody involved. Yes, again, you need other people, but you got to get everybody involved. You never know what you're gonna get out of that. You'll be that brother that's all the way in the corner, you ain't see, never did nothing. You give him a little something to do and be surprised what he can get out, and then next thing you know, he might be the best worship master you ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Making things plain, being straightforward, so everybody understand, no cloudy language and stuff like that. And one thing yeah, I was gonna ask about, but you did mention at the same time about the widows and the orphans and getting to know your members. As you talked about the widow and orphans uh, event y'all have, and how the widows and orphans should know the members of the lodge. I know one thing I did when I was master, at least I would, even when cause I was a secretary too, and I don't even know if the master told me to do it, but we only had one widow in Sons of Kings. So I would make sure that I would send a card from Sons of Kings, put the new master name and number on it, and send it to her. Make sure she had that information. You know what I mean? And even like my wife herself, she was talking about that recently, and I said, yeah, no, as long as I'm around, I'm gonna tell you who my master is. You know what I mean? So you can always have that information. And yeah, just getting to know each other and stuff like that is very important. So again, Past Grand, has always been an honor and a pleasure. I thank you for everything you had bestowed upon me. Being the guest on our show, then my show before, and just anytime we get to build and hang out with each other over the phone or whatever is definitely a pleasure. And I thank you for that.
That was right. He was on the Forget Me Not.
Yes, he
He
was.
was on
Yeah.
Forget Me Not. I was like,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah,
right.
my,
All
my
right.
first my first guest on Forgive Me Not. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, again, I also want to echo Mark's sentiments to past Grand Master Oliver. I appreciate you being with us today, learning from you, hearing the history. It is much appreciated. I've only seen you in passing prior to us having this conversation. And when I came up on the podium to get the award back in mid-year sessions, I do remember your face and I do remember you taking a photo. But certainly it's a pleasure to have this conversation. I'm looking forward to having another conversation. Hopefully a grand session. I'll see you at grand session, if not sooner than that or afterwards. So much appreciated for all you have done for 50 plus years in the craft. So much love and respect to you, brother. Thank you so much. So, anything else before we wrap up? Anything else you want to share with brothers before we wrap up? Any last words or parting words?
Let me encourage you to for what you're doing. It's much needed. We I admire both of you in terms of your outwardness, your friendliness, and you're willing to put the time in. Doing what you're doing is not easy. I don't have no clue how you do this, but I know that it's not easy. You got the preparation and all that, and you do it with the best of them. I watch other podcasts and keep doing what you're doing. And I thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot,
Much
Pastor.
appreciated. Thank you. There you have it, folks. Please like, subscribe to the channel, like the episode. There's a lot of good information that was shared here today by Past Grand Master Oliver. I'm sure there's at least one nugget in here that you can use to apply to your life, whether in the craft or outside of the craft. And so please share this episode with as many people as possible that you think could benefit from the knowledge that was shared today. As we always say, the world needs leaders, and leadership starts with being able to lead yourself. It's impossible to lead other people if you cannot lead yourself. So please take the knowledge that you've learned through this episode today and other episodes and apply it in your life so that you can just be the best version of yourself for your family, for your community, and for others. And with that, have a good night. Have a good day. God bless you.